Let me ask you a question, my friend. When was the last time you gave yourself the same energy, the same attention, the same care that you so freely gave to others? Think carefully. For most people, the answer is never, and that, right there, is the tragedy that kills more dreams than failure ever will. You see, the greatest secret of success, the deepest law of personal power, is this. You must learn to focus on yourself, not selfishly, but purposefully, because your energy is your gold, and wherever you invest it, grows. So I say to you today, stop watching others live their lives. Start building yours. Ladies and gentlemen, I stand before you with a truth so simple, yet so often ignored. It is not the mountain that stops the climber, but the pebble in his shoe. That pebble in our lives is comparison. You may not see it, but it creeps into your mind when you scroll through another man's success, another woman's beauty, another person's wealth or applause. And before you know it, you have forgotten your own path. You've traded your vision for theirs. Now let me be perfectly clear. No man ever climbed the ladder of greatness by staring at someone else's rung. He climbed because he fixed his eyes upward on his own mission, his own calling, his own definite major purpose. You were not born to imitate. You were born to initiate. And the moment you understand that, the moment you reclaim your mind from the marketplace of distractions, you begin to rise. Let me say this with no apology. Every second you spend envying someone else is a second you steal from your own destiny. You must become obsessed, not with others, but with your own development. Now, some will call that selfish. They'll say, but what about them? And to that I say this, you cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot lead others until you first learn to lead yourself. So, from this moment forward, I challenge you. Trade comparison for construction. Build your mind, build your body, build your habits, and let the world do what it will. Let me tell you something that will transform the way you live. You cannot focus on yourself until you know who you are and what you want. You must have what I call a definite chief aim. Without it, you drift, you float, you become like a ship without a rudder, tossed about by the winds of society, opinion, fear, and distraction. But the man who has a purpose, the woman who wakes each morning with intention, they do not have time to compare themselves to others. Why? Because they are too busy watering their own garden. You see, the moment you decide on a definite chief aim, your mind begins to filter the world. Suddenly, what others are doing becomes irrelevant. Their applause doesn't feed you. Their disapproval doesn't move you. You become centered, anchored in your own mission. This is what separates the leaders from the followers, the builders from the critics. Most people are spectators in the game of life, watching others win or lose, but never taking the field themselves. And let me be honest with you, spectating is the opium of the unsuccessful. It dulls your purpose. It poisons your will. It steals your hours, your attention, your soul. If you want to reclaim your life, then sit down today, not tomorrow, and write your chief aim in life. Read it every morning, burn it into your mind, make it your obsession, and then block out all else. Because when your vision is clear, your focus is sacred. Now let us turn inward to the battlefield that matters most, the mind. My friends, I have studied the habits of the world's most successful men. I have spoken to giants of industry, pioneers of science, and architects of empires. And they all have one thing in common, mastery of the mind. They do not allow their minds to wander like wild horses. They have trained their thoughts like loyal soldiers, each one marching in service of their purpose. So I ask you now, who commands your mind? If your thoughts are consumed by what others are doing, if your emotions are driven by the opinions of strangers, then you are not the master of your life. You are a slave to noise. Mental discipline begins with silence, with solitude, with reflection. Every day you must retreat into the fortress of your own mind and ask yourself, am I progressing? Am I growing? Am I becoming who I was born to be? The man who wins in life is not the strongest nor the smartest. It is the one who can sit quietly in a room, think deeply, and emerge with purpose. Control your mind, and you will control your world. What if I told you that you are sitting on the most valuable asset you will ever possess, not in your bank account, but in your bones? Yes, I am talking about you. But sadly, most people spend more time upgrading their phones than upgrading their character. They know every statistic about a celebrity's life, but they know nothing about their own potential. Listen to me. The most powerful return on investment comes from self-investment. Read the right books. Train your mind. Strengthen your discipline. Sharpen your habits. Guard your time. If you spent just 1 year focusing relentlessly on your growth, mentally, physically, emotionally, you would not recognize the person you'd become. And do not wait for permission. No one is coming to tell you to focus on yourself. Society teaches you to fit in, not stand out, to conform, not evolve. But you, my friend, were not made for the average path. You were made to lead, to influence, to create. That greatness is dormant inside of you, waiting to be awakened by discipline. So make yourself your first priority, not to neglect others, but to serve them better. Because a man who is full of wisdom, strength, and vision can lift others. But the man who is empty, he only drains those around him. Focus on yourself so you can become a lighthouse, not a leech. Now I want to teach you a word. It is small but mighty, dangerous even, if you know how to use it. That word is no. You see, most people live their lives saying yes to everything and everyone, yes to distractions, yes to other people's plans, yes to social obligations, gossip, mindless noise, and approval seeking. And with every yes they give away, they say no to themselves. But the man who focuses on himself learns to say no with confidence, not out of arrogance, but out of clarity. He knows that every yes must be earned, that time is a currency and attention is a treasure. You must guard both. Every time you say yes to something that does not serve your purpose, you dilute your power. You become divided. And divided men do not conquer, they collapse. So practice saying no, not just to people, but to patterns. Say no to overthinking. Say no to self-doubt. Say no to pleasing everyone but yourself. Because until you say no to the noise, you will never hear the voice within. Let me remind you of something you already know deep within. Your energy is sacred. It is your life force, your invisible currency. Spend it wisely. Most people go broke not in their wallets, but in their spirit. They spend their precious energy worrying about opinions, engaging in drama, chasing validation from those who don't even know who they are. And by the time they get home, they wonder why they're exhausted and empty. It's because they've allowed their energy to leak. But not you, not anymore. From this moment forward, I want you to treat your energy like money in a vault. Before you spend it, ask, is this helping me grow? Is this building the man or woman I want to become? If the answer is no, walk away. Focus is energy. Discipline is energy. Silence is energy. And when you begin to protect it like the priceless resource it is, you'll rise faster than those who waste it. Let others run in circles. You walk in a straight line toward your vision. Let others burn themselves out. You conserve, you channel, and you build. Remember, greatness is built in stillness, not in noise. Now hear this and remember it well. Talk less, work more. Let results make your introductions. The average man announces his every move. He brags before he builds. He shouts before he succeeds. And then he wonders why his energy is gone and his momentum is lost. But the wise man, ah yes, the wise man, moves in silence. He understands that silence is a weapon, a fortress, a source of inner power. When you focus on yourself, you stop the need to broadcast everything. You stop performing for the crowd. You begin to work in quiet, knowing that your life will speak so loudly one day that you won't have to. You don't owe the world an explanation for your solitude. You don't need applause to justify your focus. Let them laugh. Let them talk. Let them doubt. You remain still. You keep building. Because while they gossip, you grow. While they mock, you master. While they sleep, you sacrifice. And soon, the very people who doubted your silence will be stunned by your rise. So keep quiet, keep working, and let your transformation do the talking. Now I want you to walk with me to the mirror. Stand in front of it. Look into your own eyes, not just at your face, but into your soul. Ask yourself, am I proud of the person I'm becoming? Am I living a life of my own design, or one built by the expectations of others? Because the truth, my friend, is that the world will lie to you. It will sell you comfort, distraction, and illusion. But the mirror does not lie. It reflects who you really are. And if you don't like what you see, it is not your enemies or your past that you must blame. It is your choices. This is not meant to shame you. Number, it is to awaken you. Because once you take responsibility for your reflection, you take power over your future. You stop blaming. You start building. You stop pointing fingers and start raising your standards. And in that moment, when you stop chasing others and start facing yourself, you become unstoppable. The mirror test is hard, but it is holy. And every morning you wake up, you have a choice to look away or to look within. Now we arrive at the summit, the final truth I've come to deliver. When you focus on yourself, not out of vanity, but out of vision, you give birth to the highest version of yourself. You stop being a product of your past and become the architect of your future. You stop chasing shadows and start building light. You stop existing and you begin to live. This is the greatest victory you can achieve. Not over others, but over your former self. You are not here to please the world. You are here to fulfill a purpose, and that purpose will demand everything from you, your time, your attention, your discipline, your soul. But it will give you something priceless in return: freedom, freedom from comparison, freedom from fear, freedom from mediocrity. So I ask you once more, are you ready to rise? Are you ready to turn off the noise, to walk alone if needed, to look inward instead of outward? Because the man who does that, the woman who does that, will not need validation. They will become the kind of person others look to for light. So go now, focus, building rise, and remember, as I've told you many times before, what the mind can conceive and believe it can achieve, but only if that mind is focused on itself and not on others. My friend, let me give you one of the hardest but most liberating truths you'll ever hear. If you want to become the highest version of yourself, you must be willing to let go of the person you used to be. You cannot build a new destiny with the same mindset that built your old prison. You cannot soar with the weight of outdated beliefs, old failures, and borrowed dreams dragging behind you. Tear up the script society handed you. Burn the blueprint your fear designed. Walk away from the identity that was never truly yours to begin with. You were not born to repeat cycles. You were born to evolve. And evolution demands destruction of the false self, of the egoic noise, of the past that no longer serves you. Yes, it will hurt, but oh, the beauty on the other side of that fire. So ask yourself today, what am I still carrying that belongs to the old me? Then be bold enough to release it, because what's ahead of you is worth everything behind you. We live in a world that glorifies speed, but let me tell you something the wise already know. True greatness is not built overnight. It is built brick by brick, in silence, in solitude, and in sacrifice. When you focus on yourself, you begin to build from the ground up. You stop cutting corners. You stop seeking shortcuts. You start laying down the foundation, strong, solid, unshakable. Each morning you wake up early, that's a brick. Each book you read, each workout you complete, each moment you choose discipline over distraction, another brick. Let others rush and crumble. You take your time and rise, because empires are not built by luck. They are built by men and women who show up daily, even when it's boring, even when no one claps, even when no one sees. So I ask you, will you be the architect of your life or the victim of your impulses? If it's the former, then stack your bricks every single day without fail, because one day you'll stand at the top of a fortress you built with your own hands, and the world will have no choice but to respect the view. Let me now bring you to the battlefield most people never even see, the war that determines your fate long before you take action. It is the war within your own mind. The way you speak to yourself in the quiet moments, that is your reality. You see, it doesn't matter what others say about you if the voice inside your head is already tearing you down. But when you focus on yourself, truly focus, you start to rewire that voice. You start speaking with power, not pity, with courage, not condemnation. You say, I am not finished. I am not what happened to me. I am what I decide to become. Because thoughts are not harmless. They are seeds. And whatever seeds you plant, fear or faith, doubt or determination, they will grow. So guard your inner garden, weed out the lies, plant the truth. Talk to yourself like someone you deeply respect, because if you do not believe in your mission, no one else ever will. The mind is your greatest tool or your greatest trap. Make it serve you. Let me say this loud and clear, and I want you to etch it into your soul. You do not need to explain your growth to anyone. You do not need to justify your silence. You do not need to apologize for focusing on yourself. When you rise, people will question you. When you change, people will criticize you. When you walk away from distractions, some will call you arrogant. Let them. The path of self-mastery is misunderstood by those who fear themselves. You owe explanations to no one but your future self, the version of you who's counting on you to rise, to stay the course, and to become something few dare to become. So the next time someone asks why you're so focused, so distant, so disciplined, smile gently and say, "I'm building something you can't see yet." Let them gossip, let them guess, but do not stop, do not shrink, do not explain, because kings don't explain their silence, lions don't justify their roar, and legends never beg to be understood, they simply build. At last, let us arrive at the core truth this entire message has been leading to. You were born to lead, but not others first, yourself. Before you can lead nations, families, businesses, or movements, you must conquer the hardest territory of all, your own mind, your own habits, your own heart. Self-leadership is the foundation of all greatness. It means doing what's right even when no one is watching. It means showing up even when it's hard. It means holding yourself accountable even when no one else does. When you master yourself, the world will bend to your will, not because you force it, but because you embody power. You become trustworthy. You become dependable. You become someone others look to, not for motivation, but for example. And that's the final truth I want to leave you with. Focus on yourself, not because you're selfish, but because the world desperately needs more self-led people. People who are clear, disciplined, vision-driven, untouchable in character, immovable in spirit. Be that person and don't follow the noise. Don't chase the crowd. Lead yourself, and one day the world will follow your light.